the screen? Yes, wonderful, beautiful. Okay, good, great. So kicking off the meeting today, the first thing that we're going to go over is celebrations. First off, I want to just thank everyone for your flexibility. It turns out we only had a few people signed up for in-person, and things being what they were, we switched it yesterday to virtual, so I really appreciate everybody's flexibility in logging in. When it comes to the awards, we're going to figure out distribution for those awards soon, and we'll get that taken care of, and we'll follow up with you guys, with the individual award winners, with getting those distributed. We also have calendars that will be eventually distributed for the new school year for VPK as well. So that is what we have for celebrations. And let me take a look and see if we have any community partners. If you are a community partner and you have something you would like to share, please raise your hand and I will unmute you. Anjanette Broadhurst. Anjanette Broadhurst, did you have something you wanted to say? It says you're self-muted.
No, nothing right now. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, you're welcome. And I apologize if I messed up your last name. Sorry about that. Checking. All right. Looks like I don't see any community partners who wish to speak up. So let's take a look here. All right. We're going to go ahead and start with the school readiness updates. Let me make sure that Latricia Sims is unmuted. There you are. It says you're self-muted.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. As of July 1st, the coalition is using 2 sliding fee scales for the 25-26 fiscal year when assessing co-payments for the school readiness program. Both scales reflect the updated federal poverty level thresholds. The first one, which is up on the screen, was effective July 1st. It is called the Standard Dollar Base Sliding Fee Scale for co-payments for current families that have been placed in care prior to June 30th, 2025. The coalition has updated the Standard Dollar Base Sliding Fee Scale with the co-payments that were used during the 24-25 fiscal year as directed by DEL. The sliding fee scale is used to assess co-payments for each child based on household income, family size, and unit of care. So if you can see on this sliding fee scale, it shows you the parent co-pays for the full-time, part-time, as well as the sibling discounts. The assessed co-payments will remain in effect until the parent redetermines or recertifies their child care for the upcoming 25-26 fiscal year. This also includes the care level change, a billing group change, or an extension of care authorization, including a parent contacting us to report that they have an additional member in their household, like if the parent just gave birth. Are there any questions on that fee schedule, Lily?
Checking. I don't see any questions.
Okay.
Do you need the percentage one up now?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay. So in May, DEL provided an initial percentage sliding fee scale that reflected the copay percentages of 5% and 7% of a family's income. A copy was provided in last month's packet. So if you printed them for usage at your facility, we're going to ask that you please disregard them because the new one is shown up on the screen. After more thoroughly analyzing the potential financial impact of these percentages on families and coalition in this implementation year, DEL has decided to lower the copay percentages to 4% and 6% of a family's household income. So on this scale, you can see that the parent copays are not assessed because it is based off of the household income, and that will be calculated by our family services staff once that information is entered. The coalition will use the percentage sliding fee scale to assess co-payments for each household based on 4% or 6% of the household income. And as a reminder, with this new sliding fee scale, the copayment is assigned to only one child and one provider per household upon determination of initial eligibility or redetermination. The coalition has been receiving phone calls from parents indicating that their provider has told them to contact the coalition so that they can get on the one assessed copay for their entire family. This cannot happen until the parent has redetermined their child care services. As always, anytime a parent has been determined eligible for services, at any time we're able to review their last 4 weeks of income if provided for us to determine if we can reduce their copays, but we cannot place them on the one assessed parent copay until they redetermine their child care services. And then there are 2 other sliding fee scales. They are for the SR Plus program.
Okay.
You can
I
switch,
do have
Lily.
questions though.
Okay, go ahead.
If that's okay, I apologize for interrupting you. I just wanted to catch you before you moved on. So in regards to this one that we have on the screen, the question is, with the sliding fee schedule that you are showing us, does the provider need to adjust anything in school readiness certificates on the portal?
No, watch the payment certificates. They will reflect any changes that have been made by the coalition.
Okay, and then there's another question here. It says, just to be clear, we can still charge the differential rates?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. All right, that is all the questions. Thank you for your patience.
No, thank you.
And so now you need the school, got it.
Yes. Okay, so this one on the screen is for the SR Plus program. It is similar to and continuing to align with the school readiness program. As with the school readiness program, we have 2 sliding fee scales for the SR Plus program.
Sorry,
This one
I had the wrong one. This is the right one.
Yes. This one on the screen is the standard dollar-based sliding fee scale. As you can see, it has the effective date of September 24th, 2024. It will remain in effect for copayments per child for current families who were in care prior to June 30th. And the new percentage, can you switch it, Lily, to the last one, please?
Yes, ma'am. I apologize. My screen went blank for a second. There you go. Can you guys see it?
Yes. So this one is the new percentage SR Plus sliding fee scale, and it has the effective date of July 1st. This parent copay fee will be based on 8 to 10% of the family's household income. So these sliding fee scales will be made available for you. And again, as we have stressed, it is very important that you pay attention to your parent certificate. If you have any questions after this meeting or need any further clarification, please feel free to contact our office. My direct extension is 214. Does anyone have any questions?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. And that, oh, Wait, I had a question, a late question. My apologies. It says, how will SR Plus work for VPK children if their copay is more than, does this apply to VPK children?
No, well, yes, we do have some families. Can you get that provider's contact information and I can follow up with them on that
Yes.
question?
Yes, ma'am. Yep, I can do that. I'm just double checking to see if we have any other questions. And we don't. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. And Elizabeth, it says you are self-muted.
All right, can you hear me? Because I don't know if I have a
Yep,
microphone.
I can hear you.
Okay, beautiful. All right. So I have been, I'm going to talk to you about this, but I also want to give you a couple of coalition updates too while I start that I think are, well, I think it's just maybe an item, ELC updates. So two things that I really wanted to bring to your attention. One, not so great, and one pretty cool. So the first thing, I'm going to start with the not so great because I like to end on the positive with this. But unfortunately, due to some changes in our budgeting, we will not be able to support the incentives program at this time. So I have sent out a series of emails to childcare providers, to teachers, and anybody that was involved that had applied for the incentives program. And just to give you a rundown, the incentives program is a program that provides a supplemental check once or twice a year, depending on the education level and different certifications that your staff may have gotten over time. So I'm working individually with teachers that may have applied for that. If you got an email from me, you have somebody that works for you that has applied for that program. So unfortunately, at this time, we're finalizing, wrapping up all the last payments that are due to people that had applied last year. And this was a program we started through ARPA funding. That word we haven't heard in a little while. We started it with ARPA funding, and this year we're having to pause it because our funding has been reduced by a little bit. So we won't be able to support that program right now. So let me see if there's any questions about that. Good. I'm going to assume that's good, but there's no questions. If you do have questions, just shoot me an email or give me a call after the meeting, and I will try to answer your questions as best I can. We are hopeful that at some point within this fiscal year, we may be able to start it back up, but we cannot guarantee anything. So the second thing, though, is pretty cool. It's our director coaching program. We have our coach, Rosie, who has worked with several directors over this past few months here, starting, I want to say it started in April of this year, and she's wrapping up now with a few. She had 5 directors that she was working directly with. And the coaching program really just gives you a leg up. If you're a director at a site or you're a new director, you're having some challenges trying to resolve programmatic issues or site-bound issues, whatever you're going through at your facility, or just trying to elevate yourself as a childcare director in this industry. We've heard a lot of positive feedback, and right now I have 2 directors that will be scheduled to start in the fall that have already put their name in. If you or you have a director at your site that you think would benefit from coaching, it's about, I want to say 14 weeks of coaching. It's 14 hours, let me say that. So you develop your time slot with Rosie, with the coach, one-on-one for what works for you. And she is a strength-based coach, so she goes off of what you're already really good at and develops other skills to elevate you as a professional in the early learning industry. So if you are interested, just shoot me an email. I have 3 spots left for the fall, which probably wouldn't start until September, October-ish. So let me know if you're interested in that. So those are things that are not in your packet. Those are just announcements that I wanted to make and bring to you. What is in your packet though is the school readiness, child attendance, and provider reimbursements at a glance. So I'm going to talk to you really quickly about QPI differentials, holidays, and your professional development day that you may or may not have chosen in your contract for school readiness. So this, what you see on the screen right now, is just an at a glance picture, and you're going to see a lot of things in this packet today that are kind of repetitive, and that's because they're important. You know what they say about repetition. So some of these things, though, you'll be able to share with other staff members if you have them. If you are one that prints them out, you're going to have multiple copies of some of this stuff, because I really want to hone in on some of the big picture things that are going to impact you. So with the school readiness, child attendance, provider reimbursement at a glance sheet, it talks about the general provisions that have started effective July 1st. And the changes that have been put into place that the coalition will have to follow that we want to keep you abreast of. So those, I'm not going to touch on that a whole lot, but I am going to go down to holidays and staff training day. So right now, the coalitions can provide up to 12 approved holidays for you to take, where you are paid for the enrollments at your school for the school readiness program. Again, this only ties back to school readiness, not VPK. So we, though, at the Early Learning Coalition of Marion County, we have the budget to support 10 holidays. Okay, so in your contract, you had this year 10 holidays plus the option of having a staff training day. So many of you, we've talked about this for a few months now. Many of you decided that you were not going to take advantage of this year to see how it rolled out. Some of you did put in your staff training day, and that's what it would look like on your holiday. It would be part of the contract in the holiday section, where you would define out those closure days that you were going to be closed for. So as we move forward, I want to talk a little more. I'm going to show you the rule, which is attached to this packet, and it defines, and there's also frequently asked questions, it defines if you are one of those providers that chose the holiday or the staff training day, there are certain parameters you have to follow. So we want to make sure we touch on that with you in just a couple minutes. And then the other thing I want to talk to you about are the QPI differentials, because those changed. And that is, to me, in my opinion, it's a dramatic change, because we're removing a 4% differential from some of you that scored, your class composite score was under a 5. So in the past, you were getting a differential of 4% for your school readiness enrollments. Effective July 1st, that is no longer the case. So we want to make sure that you understand what is available to you as far as a differential, and also understand the changes that went into effect, 21 days ago now. So if I'm going to move down into the frequently asked questions, most of these, if you chose, I'm going to encourage you to scan through those if you have questions about the holiday piece, but I really want to highlight question 9, 9 and 10, and then 11, and a few of the rest of them define other ways that other piece of information that you might find beneficial. So if you chose the staff training day, then you have to deliver it in one day to receive reimbursement. So it can't be like a 2 or 3 part training. It has to be delivered in one day. It has to occur for at least 50% of your training must occur for at least 50% of a provider's approved daily schedule. So if you're open, it's those hours that you're open. So half the day needs, if you want to be reimbursed for training, you should at least schedule a 5-hour training if you're open 10 hours a day. It gives you the example there. If you're open longer than that in a day, you can do that math and figure out you're going to want to book that training day for that specific 50% of time. Also, it has to be meaningful. Unfortunately, we can't say, go over to I don't know, the movie theater and take your staff for pedicures in a movie. That wouldn't be a meaningful training day. So we have to follow up with you. It gives some examples in the frequently asked questions about what's allowable. And if you're not sure, I'm going to defer you over to Lily and her team. They can answer those questions for you. If you're not sure before you book a training, if it would be acceptable for reimbursement for that day, let's answer that question for you before you go into that. You'll also be required in question 10, you'll be required to give, to upload additional documentation so that we can back up that your staff participated. So you would have to give an agenda showing the topic and the time frame, and then a sign-in sheet that shows at least 75% of your school readiness staff, and those would be teachers that teach children that are enrolled in the school readiness program, participated in this training. So let me pause and see if there's any questions.
Mostly it's feedback about Rosie. Everybody's excited about Rosie.
Yeah, Rosie's pretty awesome.
In her coaching.
If you haven't gotten to, many of you haven't gotten to work with Rosie, but she's amazing. She was my own coach here at the coalition, and I can't speak her praises enough. She's awesome.
Yeah. So far, no questions related
no
to.
Other questions? Okay, no, so I'm going to leave that training alone, and I'm going to scroll. I'm going to go down. I want to bring some things to your attention that are in this child attendance and provider reimbursement rule. I have highlighted some things that were key takeaways for me. And just reminders, especially for those of us that have been doing this. Some of you I have known for my entire career here of what I'm on 21 and a half years now. So we need that reminder from time to time. So this rule covers those attendance processes when you need to come back in and like remind parents of certain things, when you have to tell us if child's been absent for a certain amount of time. It tells you how we, the coalition, will reimburse you for different pieces of attendance. I was scrolling down, it talks about the lower portion. Could you scroll down just a little bit, Lily? The lower portion of this page, which is the first page of the rule, it talks about where you'll get paid based on the county where the child, so if you are contracted with multiple counties, your pay is going to be different based on each county. And so then if we can go to the next page, part 3 of this rule talks about the holidays and staff training days. So it adds in what we just talked about there. And again, you're going to see that the coalitions have the option of reimbursing up to 13 holidays. Some coalitions are able to do the 12 holidays in one training day. We don't have the budget for that, unfortunately. So we have to, we stick with our 10 paid holidays, and you get 1 staff training day if you choose. That's voluntary though. So then going back down to absences, I just wanted to bring to your attention, and I'm not going to read it to you because you're capable of doing that, but I want to remind you of what it looks like for reimbursement for absences and the maximum amount you can claim. And then when do you need that parent note? When do you need, when do you need that backup documentation? So let me pause and see if there's any questions yet. It looks like I just got an email, so now I only have 2 director spots left.
The question is, do you email quality for approval of training? You would
go ahead.
To do the training approval.
So I think we are still in the process of creating our procedure to let you know what to do. So if you have a training coming up, if you have a question about it, I think reaching out, Lily, would you mind if I tell them to reach out to you directly for a question at this time?
No, not at all. You can do it to
piece.
me or to the training at elc-marion.org.
There we go. And that way we can kind of keep them separate as far as like if you have a specific question or if you know you have a training day coming up. Let's say if you have a training day coming up before October if you know you put that in your calendar or and that's a closure day for you to the public, and that's one day you want us to reimburse you, let us know. Because the other thing about that, and I had asked already our amazing guru Joseph if we had a way of pulling a report to know who decided to have training days, and there is not a way for the system to tell us. We were trying to track it individually, but when you have over 100 contracts that you're looking at, it slows down the process of getting you contracted for us to go in and track that every single time. So if you have a training day coming up before October of 2025, please reach out to Lily. And if you need help with it, or you need more clarification or guidance on that, you can reach out to Lily L. Howard at elc-marion.org or training@elc-marion.org. I believe training includes me in it, so I might be able to assist you in the event that Lily is out and about. Okay, so let's keep going on this. I highlighted the area for at-risk children defined in section 1002.81 of the Florida statute, just as a reminder to you. The world is a very scary place right now, and we're serving more and more children that are considered at risk. And so just as a reminder, I wanted to bring this back in front of you about making sure you're tracking those absences. If that child is absent and you didn't know that they were going to be absent, it's a liability on you as a child care facility, as a business, right? If everybody believes that child is attending your site, but they're actually absent and nobody's heard from them in a little while, it can cause some panic. So it's really, really important that you just refresh yourself on that option. And then below, I highlighted in green the registration fees that we will reimburse you for, just to remind you of that. And then to keep going down a little bit, there's just some things in here that I'm not sure you guys know existed. So I just wanted to bring it out to your attention again. And then number 7, section 7 of this rule is important because our board was actually talking about this at our last board meeting, the full board was, about reimbursement for children with special needs. And I think it might be one of the best kept secrets here that we have. Well, you all know Sienna. I know you know Sienna, our staff member, our inclusion coordinator. But the process, if you have a child that has a diagnosed special need, different need, IEP or some other documentation by a legitimate medical professional, we have a little application. You do have to provide services above and beyond what you would typically do in a day for a child of that age. So an example I can give you is if you have a child that goes to physical therapy every day at a certain time, and you have to put a harness on that child and get them out on the bus, and that in turn makes you have to find additional support for your site so that you're not out of ratio, that would be a separate need above and beyond what you would typically do for that child or for a child of that age in your care. So you would put that on the application and you would get it back over to Sienna. We can get you, if you feel like you have a child that you would like to claim, these are for school readiness children only as well, that you can get paid a higher rate for that child. So your reimbursement is a little bit higher if that is approved. So we do have to be able to show where you're providing additional services, but that is something that we do. So I wanted to make sure that you are aware of that. And then other pieces, as this rule goes on, it talks about all the other differentials that are available to providers based on different quality initiatives that you participate in. So if you are a Gold Seal quality provider, that means you're accredited by an accrediting agent that is considered a Gold Sealed level accrediting agency, because not all of them are. Not all accrediting agencies are created equal. Gold Seal providers, and DCF is the one that determines if an accrediting agent is Gold Seal worthy. Gold Seal providers can be reimbursed at a 20% higher differential rate than our typical childcare provider. So if you're thinking about going through that process, or if you are going through that process but you're not seeing that higher rate, we probably need to look through it and make sure that we have your Gold Seal accreditation information on file so that your reimbursement reflects accordingly. And then the other piece that it starts in green there towards the bottom, if you can scroll. Oh, no, it's right there. So it's just that change that I talked about before. Sorry, I made you go too far. The composite scores. So for your class, for your program assessment, with your class score, sorry, composite score. The word composite fell out of my head for a second. If you get a composite score between 5 and 5.99, you will receive a 7% performance incentive differential. So that is an increase on your school readiness enrollments that are with you. If you receive a score of 6 to 7, you will receive a 10%. Now those haven't changed. What really changed was that anybody below the 5, it was, I believe, 4.5 to 4.99, got a 4% differential previously. Now that is no longer in effect. And then the last one, I think at the bottom there, is the reimbursement for child assessments. That is also another voluntary thing. We do have, I think, Lily can correct me, but I think we have about 7 providers that are contracted with us that have chosen to do child assessment. This is a whole different thing that uses the Teaching Strategies Gold tool to assess the children, and it is an ongoing observation assessment that will give a 5% differential throughout the year.
That's correct.
Do I have any questions? Because that was a lot.
The only question you have is again about Rosie. Is the training for directors only for those contracted in Marion County? In county preschools, sorry, in county preschools.
If you're contracted with us, so one of the benefits I would say if you're contracted with multiple counties is that you may receive benefits from each county because we all do things a little bit differently, right? So director coaching, if you've taken the time to become contracted with the Early Learning Coalition of Marion County and you are accepting enrollments from Marion County children, if I have a slot open and you reach out to me and here's the thing, you have to be able to participate. So we did have that happen this last time. We had one director who just realized after the fact, because this is new, it's a new process for us. We're kind of working out kinks too. But if you find you don't have the time to connect with Rosie for an hour over this set period of time, right? It's not an hour every week. It's really based on what you both can work out in your schedule that works for you. If you find that you just can't commit that time, because it's a self-growth. It's work that you have to do on yourself if you want to realize any benefits from coaching. So it's not a lot, it's not a ton, I can tell you from experience, but it's definitely taking a look inside and choosing some things to work on that you want better in your program. So if you can't commit that time, and I believe it's a 14 hours that we are paying for of coaching.
That's correct.
If you can't commit that time, then don't sign up or tell me I want information the next time you go. But if you're like, yeah, this sounds awesome, I want to try it, send me your name, and I have 2 spots left right now. So we're not going to limit it just to Marion County because you've all done the work to become contracted, and boy, is it work. All right, that's my spiel. Let me know if you guys have any questions.
All right.
And I'm going to mute myself.
Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, E, for all of that information. I'm going to go ahead and unmute Elizabeth Eckerberry. She's going to introduce Jesus. Go ahead, Elizabeth Eckerberry. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you. So now Jesus is going to speak about the rule, some of the changes that have came along with attendance. He's going to go ahead and speak on that since I'm moving over into finance. So I figured I'd introduce him and coming out of reimbursement. So if we want to go ahead and unmute Jesus.
It says he's self-muted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yay!
Hi guys, Jesus here. So I'm just gonna piggyback on what Elizabeth touched on. which is the rule, specifically the absences, and furthermore, just clarifying or putting emphasis on a couple different things. Give me 1 second. If you want to go to absences on page 2 of 4.5.
Page 2 of 4.5.
Yes.
Sorry. Let me use Elizabeth's cheat sheet. Let me scroll
Yes.
up. Yep. Let me just use that one. There we go.
There you go. All right. So just to put like I said, to add some clarity and put some emphasis, just extraordinary circumstances do not include vacation or recreational time. I know we're in the summer. We've gotten several submissions that state vacation or child on vacation while the facility is open and able to care for the child. And just want to put emphasis that that would not be included as an extraordinary circumstance. And it's not just in the summer, of course. You have winter break, spring break, all the breaks. If the facility is open, and this is specific to SR, if the facility is open, if the family of that specific child goes on vacation or takes recreational time, that does not qualify as an extraordinary circumstance. Uh, Furthermore, doctor's note, we've had several providers, none that come to mind, but just we've encountered it in reimbursement recently where they'll, in the attendance sheet, in the sign in, sign out sheet, they will write in that there's a doctor's note, but don't submit the doctor's note. And then we have to try and get the doctor's note, and it's a back and forth situation. So we're trying to prevent that. Furthermore, on number 3, death in immediate family with appropriate documentation. We understand that it's a sensitive situation, and an obituary or a death certificate is not necessarily something that may be easy to ask for or they might have on hand. So in that case, a parent statement, of course, is allowable. Just we need something to be able to justify the absence. So the parent statement with the signature, the dates, the child's name, all the details that we need, of course, would suffice. And on the doctor's note point again, we have had situations where a doctor's note is used for multiple children, with siblings, of course, and only one of the siblings had an actual doctor's appointment. Just be aware that the doctor's note is it just has to be specific to the child that we're justifying the absence for. And then for number 4, court-ordered visitations, we do need the actual court order, especially because in every case, in every situation, in every family, the court order details are going to be different, whether it's weekends only, every other week. Then they have the details for like the summer and the winter breaks, spring breaks, and all that. So we need to be able to access that so that we know, depending on when we're processing the attendance, what the court order actually says for the child and that situation. Beyond that, there's, I mean, the changes that there are a couple words here and there. So like Elizabeth said, I mean, it's all there in writing. You would have to go over it. But that's all I have.
We do have a question.
Yes.
And the question is, if the facility is open, but the child is on vacation, does the facility still get paid?
If it is outside of the 3 absences, no, that would have to be worked out between you and the parent, or you would not get paid for that day if it's outside of the 3 excused automatic absences.
Okay, and then we have another question. And Ms. Taffin, let me know if I'm understanding this question correctly. It says, but the family can write a note for the other child. And I'm guessing this is in reference to the doctor's note. So if one child has a doctor's note, they're visiting a doctor, can the family write a note for the sibling that went with them?
If the child is not, so if the child who did not see the doctor, obviously they could have went to the child care facility that day. So unless it's, if they're outside of the 3 absences, no, it would not count. Unless that child was ill as well.
Okay. And I have someone asking for Jesus's contact information. Let's see here. And then they just looking for confirmation here. School readiness allows 3 undocumented absences and 10 documented absences per month. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Double checking, see if we had any other questions. Okay, that looks like all the questions at this time. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Beautiful. And now to Janet. And let me make sure.
Hello. Can everyone hear me?
There she is.
All
Go for
right.
it.
I also want to piggyback on what Ms. Elizabeth was speaking about in regards to your composite scores. As the quality assessment team completes your class observation, once you get that new composite score, we have to do a contract amendment to reflect that score in your contract. So if your score changes from a 5.5 to a 4.99, you will get a contract amendment and will not receive that differential. Same with if your score is changing from a 6 to a 5, then you'll go from a 10% differential to a 7% differential. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. Okay, now I'm going to be speaking about VPK, the performance metric, and we talked about this. We've actually been speaking about this for the last few months. Now that we know what the metric looks like. So with the performance metric, it ties into progress monitoring, which is FAST. We know the schedule for progress monitoring. PM1s do the first 30 instructional days. PM2, that's in the middle of your VPK program with at least 40% of the instructional hours has passed with no more than 60%. And then progress monitoring 3, that's the last 30 days. Before I get into the components of the metric, I want to stress that completing your PM periods on time, completing the test for the students on time is very important. You don't want to test before your progress monitoring window opens, and you don't want to test after. Okay, and that's for your students that are enrolled in your classroom from day one. Any student that arrives after, of course, you have to test them, but your set students that start in that program, test them on time, okay? Because if the student is not tested for PM1, PM3, PM2, that data is not counted for, okay? Any questions before I start going in? Okay, so, okay, I don't hear Lily. Okay, so there are no questions. Okay, so let's go with component 1. So that's program quality. This ties into your class composite score. As you can see here with my notes, it's listing the points that you can earn. You can earn up to 50 points. If you get a, of course, below a 4, then it's going to be 0 points. 4 to 4.49, that's 10%, that's 5 points. 5.5 to 4.99, you receive 20%, which is 10 points, and then so on and so forth. Lily, can you scroll down so they can see? Okay, yeah, that's better. Scroll down a little bit more. Okay, so this is what you can earn based on your composite score, okay? So this is half of your performance metric, okay? Now, let's talk about component 2, which is student achievement. So with student achievement, VPK providers can earn up to 20 points, okay? Now with the student achievement, what they're going to do is they're going to take from the FAST Start Early Literacy, and they're going to take into account the percentage of eligible students that demonstrated kindergarten readiness during PM3. And so you have to have 4. 4 is the magic number. You have to have 4 eligible students who have completed more than 50% of the instructional hours in your VPK program, okay? And kindergarten readiness, that score is going to be 707. So that's what they're looking for, okay? And then let's go down to component 3. Component 3, you can earn up to 30 points. And I'm sorry I did not put the 30 points here, guys. Please forgive me for that. But component 3, you can earn up to 30 points, okay? So the student learning gains is also measured by the Fast Start Early Literacy Assessment, and they're going to look at the percentage of eligible children that demonstrated sufficient gains between PM1 and PM3. Again, 4 is the magic number here. So you need at least 4 eligible students that have demonstrated sufficient gains, okay? If that student has maintained the highest literacy classification starting from PM1 all the way through PM3, then that student counts for this component, okay? And when you receive your metric, you're going to receive it, it'll be excellent, above expectations, meet expectations, and below expectations or unsatisfactory. We are more than happy to share the VPK accountability performance metric and destination with you that we have received from DEL. We'll be able to share that with you. Please email quality@elc-marion.org and ask for a copy of that so that you can have that for your records. I want to just stress again that make sure you communicate with your teachers, make sure that you communicate with your parents the importance of attendance and the importance of getting your progress monitoring completed on time, okay? I'm going to turn it over to Lily so that she can talk to you about more about the accountability part and providers on probation.
Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me?
I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. All right. So just to piggyback on what Janet was saying, I just want to give you guys a heads up that everything that we know about the VPK program accountability is available through the DEL website. It is all shared out in the open here, all the resources, all the information. VPK program accountability page, that is the name of the page through the Florida Department of Education Early Learning website. And you can see it has designations from the past 2 years, which are informational only. And this is pretty much where they're going to be showing up probably when they come up available for us. But again, like Janet said, you can email us if you have any trouble getting it once it's available. It's supposed to be made available by the Department of Early Learning on August 14th. From the date of August 14th, we'll be looking to those providers that perhaps are incomplete status designations or are on a probation status designation. My department will be reaching out to them to help them with their next steps. We're still determining the ins and outs and all the details of that process and getting that taken care of. A webinar will be coming forthwith, going into details about that, and and it'll be recorded, so it'll be made available for anybody who has questions to listen to. So more on that to come in the future. Any questions about VPK accountability? I also created a packet which has the rule, in case you guys want to take a look at the rule as well, related to it, and supports all the information that Janet shared with you about the metric. And it goes into detail as well about some of the things coming up for those providers who may end up with incomplete status, probation status, or even a good cause exemption status. And let me just double check and see if we have any questions. I don't see any questions. So Mary, it is your turn.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The first part that we're going to cover pertains to VPK providers. However, after that, I have information for all providers. So the first one I am going to talk about is the required FAST documentation needed for all VPK facilities. As you know, you need your new test administrator certificate, but the most important two are the 2 agreement forms that come with that, and you need to get those forms from the same website. Right now, we're looking at the security agreement. And Lily, can you please scroll down? Right there, up, the bottom of the security, right there. Okay, this is the most important part on the security agreement. On that first line, when it says the VPK program name, it wants the name of your facility as it appears on your DCF license or religious exempt letter. On your religious exempt letters, it'll be right at the top with your address showing right underneath the name. On your license, it will be in the middle there that says name of provider. And please refer to those documents when completing this part. If the name on those documents have LLC or Inc., it must be included. This is very important. And when it's asking for the provider ID number, it wants the portal ID number that goes with your facility name. Okay, and of course, down underneath there, the teacher is going to print their name and then they sign the document, either their whole name or their first initial and the whole last name. It cannot be just initials. And of course, it has to be dated. This is a requirement. And if you notice on these documents, it tells you this agreement must be signed and uploaded every VPK program year. This is very important. Okay, if you notice there, right, stay there, go back up a little bit, Lily. If you notice there, I typed in the name of the facility and the printed name of the teacher. Now, for everybody, let's go to the next page, Lily, please. All of our documents that the ELC has available for you, whether if it's our E-Verify forms, your private pay rate sheets, and these documents here, they're usually in PDF form. To be able to type in information on blank lines when you're on your PDF, you should have a tab up at the top where it says number 1. that little tab that says fill and sign, when you click on that, you'll get a new menu, and then number 2 will show up where it says add text. When you click on that add text and go onto your document, you'll get a little plus sign. Just scroll to the blank line that you want to type on, and it will let you type. This is beneficial for providers who have long facility names that have a hard time getting it fit onto the blank. You can use this option to get your whole name to show up on the blank on the document you're filling out. And I hope that helps everyone. I have a couple of other fast tips. Please be sure that whenever you're using the portal, to make sure that you are using the Microsoft Edge browser. Other browsers, you will encounter problems. I want to remind everyone, when Cheyenne and I send you emails, at the end of it, we always let you know if you need any help or assistance, please call us and dial our extensions. Cheyenne's at extension 201. I am at extension 236. When we say if you need any help or assistance, this includes if you're having difficulties getting your documents to print, you're having problems getting your name to fit somewhere on a document, you're having problems with your scanners, anything that you're having difficulty with, we cannot help you unless you let us know. I want to remind everyone that here at the Coalition, we have computers and scanners available at all times that we are open. You are more than welcome to come here to use those computers and scanners. You can send a designated person that you choose to bring your documents here to use the equipment in the lobby. If some providers are very computer challenged, you can always have someone bring the documents in. Ask for Cheyenne or I. It only takes a couple of minutes. We can scan them quickly on our big scanner and put your documents onto a thumb drive if that will assist you. Okay, and last but not least, if for any reason you need to take a picture of your document instead of uploading a PDF, please, please, please make sure you have your document laying in a well-lighted area so that when you take that picture, it's bright and readable. If it's dark and hazy and gray, please try again and use better lighting. And again, if you need any assistance or have any questions, just please give us a call. Thank you all so much for listening to me, and I hope you have a great, great day.
All right, thank you so much, Mary. We are reaching the 2 o'clock time, and in respect for your time, if you guys need to log out, we understand. This is recorded, and you can always go back on YouTube. It'll be available next week at the latest, and you can watch it at your convenience then. For those of you who are willing to stay on, we have a few more speakers to present, and the next one on our list is going to be Delania. She's going to be sharing about the school readiness monitoring, and then we'll have Sienna talking about ASQs and referrals. Professional development, I'm just going to be referencing the professional development packet. So let me go ahead and make sure I have Delania and get her unmuted. Delania?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, and I'm bringing up your packet.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and happy new fiscal year. My name is Delania Price, and I am with the Compliance Department, and I would like to welcome you to the Compliance Corner. With each new fiscal year comes new fiscal monitoring. For today's Compliance Corner, we would like to ensure that each school readiness provider is provided with a copy of the statewide school readiness provider contract monitoring tool, which you see on the screen, and it's also located within today's attachment. The Coalition conducts on-site monitoring of a random sample of all of its contracted school readiness program providers on an annual basis or in response to a parental complaint using this tool to verify that standards prescribed in Statute 1002.82 and 1002.88 are being met. Providers that the coalition determined to be high risk shall be monitored more frequently. We ask that you take the time to review and become familiar with the statewide school readiness provider contract monitoring tool so that you will know what is required of you to remain in compliance with your statewide school readiness provider contract. Please note that each section of the monitoring tool provides an assessment activity which must be completed and documentation provided in order for your site to be compliant with your school readiness contract. Please note that each assessment activity on the statewide school readiness provider contract monitoring tool does provide a reference to the statewide school readiness provider contract and Rule 6M guidance. These references are located at the end of each assessment activity question on the monitoring tool, and it'll be bold highlighted on the tool. If you have any questions or concerns concerning contract monitoring, please feel free to reach out to any member of the compliance department team. I may be reached at extension 253, or you may feel free to contact Ms. Michaela Powell, our programs compliance director, at extension 259. Do we have any questions?
I am scrolling. We do have, let me see here. Oh, that's for the fast testing courses.
Okay.
Nope, no questions in reference to monitoring. Thank you, Delania.
Okay, thank you and have a great day.
Okay. So the question, just in case anybody else had this question, was I took the fast testing courses before July 1st and signed the forms. Are they still good for 25, 26, or were they for the 24, 25 school year?
Okay, so I unmuted myself. I'm going to answer that question. Yes, it is still good. Every year, what DEL does is they open up the testing starting around like May. And that way to give providers a head start on getting the new FAST certificates and agreements done before your teachers leave for the summer break. So if you took the course in May and June, that is still good. Your certificate should have an expiration date on the certificate. If it doesn't, it's still good. Please upload your certificate and the agreements to the document management library. And the folder still says 24-25 fast test administrators. So you're still going to upload it into that folder. And that's it. Is there any other
Awesome.
questions related to FAST?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much. All right. And that brings us to Sienna McFarland about ASQs. Let me just double check and make sure we didn't have any other. Yep, we're good on questions. And then Sienna, can you hear? You there?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Are you able to speak up a little bit? You're a little low.
Are you able to hear me?
Oh, that's so much better. Thank you so much.
I'll turn this up. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sienna, the Inclusion Coordinator. And I just wanted to briefly remind you about a few things for ASQ and screenings. I know we might have a few persons who are new, so just to share that the screenings are available in the parent portal for 5 days. After that, it goes into the provider portal for 40 days. And so you have 40 days to complete these screenings. And on a weekly basis, I continue to send reminders just for you to check your incomplete queues to see if you have screenings that are due. If there are children who are no longer attending your site, we encourage you to submit the withdrawal form, and I'm able to remove those screening requests. The other thing is that parents are the one who select the screenings that their children or their child will do. So we have the ASQ3, which has the 5 domains that you know: communication, gross motor, fine, problem solving, and personal social. And then the SE2, which is the social and emotional. Now, a lot of times we still have providers and parents who will both are needed and only one is completed. And so the time has passed for the submission and only one has been done. So I just want to encourage you to check to ensure that if only one screening is needed, if it's only the ASQ3, or if both are needed. And at the end of the 3, normally there is a box that comes up that says, click here to submit or to complete the ASQ SE2. So I just want to point that out so that you can look out for that. There are also videos that are available on the YouTube website, that will show you how to complete screenings, and there's one for the provider and there's one for parents. And to go back to something that Elizabeth had shared when she spoke about the special needs rate for providers who have children with challenges or with a diagnosed disability, just to share that we need supporting documents. So even if you're doing something above what you do for the other children, for me to sign off on the special needs rate, I'm going to need the supporting documents. And for now, that is the individualized education plan, or the IEP, or if you have a documentation from a licensed health, mental health, education, or social service professional. I am going to need some kind of documentation to attach to the application before we can approve for the increased reimbursement rates. All right. If you have children who have concerns, so when I get the ASQ screening, sometimes, well, a lot of times, we have children with concerns, and we're able to help with referrals for these children to get an assessment for whatever is needed. For now, it's like for speech therapy, physical therapy, behavior, and just about anything that they have concerns for. But we need the parents' consent. And when I respond to the parents, for those who their child have concerns, I also have the attachment for the consent form, and I CC the provider. So you are able to see, sometimes the parents are the ones who have done the screenings, and the provider is able to see those children who have concerns, because I also send you the response. I CC you on the document. If you also have children who are not school readiness and they have concerns, whatever they are, we're able to get help through Help Me Grow. And now we have 2 Help Me Grow coordinators. We have Marilyn, and her extension is 227. And we have Jacqueline, and hers is 225. So if you have children who are not school readiness, you can reach out to these ladies and we are able to get help for them. Any questions?
Don't see any questions at this time. Yep, nope, no questions, Sienna.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you everyone who hang tight with us during this time. The professional development packet has the most recent professional development newsletter in it. It covers July and August. One of the biggest updates in the professional development packet is that we, University of Florida Lassiter, previously known as Flamingo. You guys may have done a lot of Flamingo courses through the University of Florida Lassiter. Now they're called Lassiter Learning. So let me just say that again. If you did Flamingo courses through the University of Florida Lassiter Center for Learning, it's still the same entity. They just changed up their brand and their name is now Lassiter Learning. And all the online courses and fall offerings and all that kind of stuff and all the questions and how to get into the new platform and everything is in this packet. So if you're interested in taking advantage of those opportunities of education and to also take a look at the opportunities that are available through the coalition and through our newsletter, please download that packet and utilize that. If you are not receiving the professional development newsletter and you would like to receive the professional development newsletter, we did change our mailing system from Constant Contact to MailChimp, and some emails may have been lost. Please email training@elc-marion.org and let us know that you want to receive the professional development newsletter with your email address, and we'll forward that email to our public relations person so that they can get you put into our new mailing system. Otherwise, make sure you check your spam. And that is all we have today for our provider meeting. Thank you again so very much. If you missed any of this, the handouts will be made available through our provider newsletter, and the recording will be available on YouTube as early as next week. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.